Hi everybody, I'm going to review the latest Michael Greger interview on London Real.
Can I tell you about my experience on plant-based last year, and then I want to get into the book a little bit more.
Okay, yeah.
So last year, I had someone sitting in that leather chair. His name was John Joseph. He's the lead singer of the hardcore punk band, the Cro-Mags. Been plant-based for 30-some years.
Amazing.
Because he was a Hare Krishna monk back in the day. And he's also done 10 of these Ironman races, which are these really long distance,
Insane.
12, 13-hour races
Wow.
where you swim and you
He
bike
looks
and
so
run.
weird.
So he got in the chair and he was looking at me funny and he said, "Brian, I want to challenge you to do a half Ironman." I said, "Okay, maybe." And then he said, "But you're doing it on a plant-based diet." And I was like, "What are you doing, John?" There's a scene in the movie where he walks in to my Airbnb in New York and I'm cooking eggs and bacon and he throws it in the trash and he takes me across the street and I'm drinking smoothies. You're going to be a better performance. And I'm 47 years old at the same time. And I didn't believe him.
I'm
but I
genuinely
liked John a lot,
surprised.
and,
I would have
he
thought
really knows
early
his great
60s
book
at
called Meats
least.
for Pussies, which again really kind of addressed this whole I gotta eat meat as men. So I started eating plants. I told my wife, she freaked out. She's originally from Bulgaria, where she didn't know anything about plant-based diets, but she adopted and adapted, and all of a sudden she's making black bean quinoa nachos with vegan cheese, and we're rocking and rolling. And I first wasn't eating enough.
That's a good point. Nobody knows about vegan diets. That's why your wife also didn't know, because it's a man-made diet.
So I was a little bit calorie deficit.
yeah.
But once I figured that out,
Yeah.
I had a great experience. I ran the race, and I felt so good that I kept it up for the whole year. And towards the end of the year, I just asked myself this, Michael. I said, am I doing this because I'm dogmatic, or am I doing this because this feels like the best nutrition? And I have a history of doing things because I'm dogmatic, or doing things until they kill me. Drinking, drugs, being a banker. It's true.
What is
so
that?
I thought, why am I doing this? And I introduced some
Totally
fish back
nerve
into my diet
damaged.
and some grass-fed beef. Now, I am not doing a lot of that. I still eat a lot of plants, and I'm not eating cheeseburgers all
Look
the
at
time.
the way he
But for
sits.
me, I
He
feel
can't wait to
improved this
talk.
diet. And I've had a lot of people that have been vegan for 5 years that are actually now starting to experiment with
The
some
blabbering is
protein.
about to
So
start.
What do you think about that?
Well,
Blah, 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 blah.
out there, right? So that's fantastic.
You're probably right.
I mean, if there was one thing, if you were going to obsessively commit to one thing in your life, rather than alcoholism, I mean, a healthy diet. The number one
But
cause
I
of
think I have
death.
a healthy diet. I'm just not 100% plant-based.
Right. Okay. But you could eat a healthy.
Your voice sounds
right?
like
And we
it's
can
made out of
all eat
soy.
a healthier diet, right? Every time, it's a zero-sum game. Every time we put something in our mouth, there's an opportunity cost. There's a lost opportunity to put something even healthier in our mouth. And this goes for anything, right? You eat a banana, you just had a lost opportunity to eat blueberries, which are healthier than a banana, right? So you just put one.
How are blueberries healthier than bananas? Both are simply sugar and fiber. What, the antioxidants? I don't know if you're lying or you're ignorant. I kind of doubt it at this point, because you should understand that the antioxidants in plants are to protect the plants. They are not only useless for humans, they're actually harmful.
One thing on oatmeal or another thing on your oatmeal.
Right.
And so that's why, when you say is X food healthy or not? Is grass-fed beef healthy? Compared to what? Compared to bacon? Absolutely, right? Compared to chickpeas? Nah, that'd be hard, right? But so everything.
What? What? The way you can see if a food is healthy is, for one thing, if you can survive by only eating that, you can only eat grass-fed beef and be the healthiest you could possibly be, because it has every nutrient, it's perfectly digestible. Chickpeas you can't even eat raw. They are full of anti-nutrients and toxins and don't have over 50 nutrients. Idiot.
Everything we eat we should just all try to nudge everything up. And if eating a little bit of animal protein is going to keep you eating all the other wonderful food in your diet, how many whole plant foods are you eating? That, if there was one question, and so it's not how much meat are you eating?
Right.
How many whole plant foods? Now, if you eat meat, you're kind of displacing, right? There's a certain number of calories and satiety that goes along with that. And so you may end up at the end of the day eating less full. But in terms of health, it's how many whole plant foods you're eating, full stop. And the primary reason these other foods aren't good is because they may undercut your whole plant food consumption, in addition to whatever else they have bad in them. So yes, some have saturated fat or trans fats or too much sodium or cholesterol, but part of the reason that
How does he mix all of this together? Trans fat, saturated fat? What is bad about saturated animal fat? All of your cells are made out of it. No explanation. Sodium? You would die without it. Cholesterol? Again, all of your cells. What's unhealthy about it in any way at all?
They're unhealthful comparatively is because it's that bite for bite. It's that substituting one for another. And so if you're gonna eat meat, make it the best meat.
Now, if I go out and shoot an elk and eat some wild elk, and that's a whole nother thing that people get mad at me about. But are you definitively saying that is going to hurt me, having that meat, as opposed to having a whole food?
That's absolutely the healthiest. So elk and moose, 2% fat by weight. 2% fat. When you go to the store and it says extra lean, that's like 28% fat. That's the extra lean, right? 2%. So that is so that's actually what chicken used to be in 1896.
Why does he lie? Everybody knows that that's not true. The meat in supermarkets in general, everywhere, even in butcheries usually, is incredibly lean. There's pretty much no fat because of the governmental guidelines.
2%. Now it's 23%, 10 times more fat. And I mean, but yeah, so wild-caught game without lead ammunition, that's critically important. If you shoot that elk with lead ammunition, it's a bad thing. Compared to conventional store-bought meat, it's a significantly lower bump in postprandial inflammation after eating, significantly less inflammation in their blood within 4 hours after eating the kangaroo meat compared to conventionally bought meat. Now, you could argue, why eat anything pro-inflammatory at all? If you instead ate plant foods, you actually would have an anti-inflammatory reaction. Okay, fine.
Wow, there's nothing anti-inflammatory about plant foods. Pretty much everybody, even from experience, knows that plant foods are inflammatory. They destroy the gut, for one thing. Also, the meat that you buy from a supermarket comes from animals that were not taken care of, whereas wild meat comes from natural animals. It's as good as it will get. The thing is that they taste cooked meat. And of course, especially when it has a brown, black crust, it will be inflammatory. Raw, natural meat is in no way inflammatory. All plant foods are, cooked or raw.
But if you're going to eat meat, that's absolutely the least harmful meat is the wild-caught meat.
Okay, fair enough. I'm just not sure. I mean, look, I trust you as a doctor. You know what you're talking about. But also, in the past, doctors have told us to smoke Lucky Strikes, to drink skim milk.
No.
So I'm just trying to listen to my body, and I'm trying to make a decision.
Don't trust me. No. We trust the science.
But you're 100% certain in your mind.
No, well, so there's studies been done. So I talk about in the introduction how not to die.
Yeah.
This study, that's the question. Well, like how much is too much, right? That's an unanswered research question. We don't know. There certainly is an amount that it's like there's no science in the world that says being a social smoker, picking up a few cigarettes at a party once or twice a year is going to hurt you. I mean, there's no science that shows those social smokers have any higher disease rates than people who don't smoke at all, right? Now we can show smoking a half pack a day, absolutely, right? Devastating, right? But there's some level at which your body should be able to just repair any DNA damage and, get rid of all that tar. And so it's like, okay, well, what is that level? And so I'm always interested in looking for those particular studies. Probably the best study to come to that was the study looking at Buddhist monks. And someone was eating meat, one serving of meat every 3 days. I'm like, there's not going to be any difference. If you would ask me, I would have predicted that you're not going to see any kind of end maybe some risk factors stuff. You're not going to see actual, end points like, disease risk.
Okay.
With that time, I bet your body can bounce back from that.
Before you saw the movie Game Changers? Because you're eating one burrito in Game Changers you got your blood's messed up and you can't get an erection.
Okay, so now, all right.
But you didn't think necessarily.
I was skeptical that they would be able to see.
Right.
And they found remarkable difference. I forget I think it was like twice the diabetes rates in people eating just a few servings a week. That was really surprising. And so that may be too much, but is one serving a week bad? We just don't know. Does that mean it's necessarily good evidence? No. It's just this is the best evidence we have so far. And if it weren't so important, then who cares, right? But when it's literally the number one cause, so dietary risk, according to Global Burden Disease Study, in the UK, the number one killer of Brits is their diet. Smoking's now number 2. And think of all the resources, the regulations that go into getting people to quit smoking, right? No, but that's killer number 2. Why isn't that?
Essentially, he is admitting that he has no proof that meat is bad for you. He's talking about one study, but he doesn't say how it increased their chance of diabetes. I've never heard of it. He also said that the Brits are dying because of their diet. It has been plant-based for ages. Toast, lots of bread, beans. When they do eat meat, then it's sausage, which nowadays is not even made out of meat for the most part. What is he talking about? When they do eat fish, then it has a crust of wheat around it. Come on.
That same amount of resources being poured into getting people to improve their diet. And there is some, certainly sodium levels have dropped. And the best population level experiment in the world was, this public-private partnership with the UK government, went to the restaurant industry, dropped sodium levels across the board in a playing field, and you saw a dramatic drop in stroke rates, improvements in blood pressure. Really, it's a success story, what's being done here. But,
I don't know for sure what he's talking about, but if he's talking about salt, which is a rock, it has nothing to do with sodium, then he's way dumber than I thought. Because that, of course, is unhealthy.
Nothing compared to what really could be done. So number 1 killer is the British diet. Just like number 1 killer in America.
Plant-based.
But it's such a personal
The food
thing
pyramid.
that the government starts to regulate that. It's a different thing if you look at cigarettes, because most people would admit that a cigarette is probably harmful to you. Now,
but not before.
Right.
And the science was clear at the time when people were saying, smoking in moderation is fine.
Right.
When that's not what the science showed. They brought the population level sodium levels down, stroke rates came down, and look, you want to pour the whole salt shaker on it? That's up to you. It's easier to add salt to food than to remove salt from food, right? Yeah. So then that puts the power in the consumer. So it seems a little big brother.
It's funny that he's talking about salting food at all, because that's what vegans do, seeing as they lack sodium in the plants. It's too high in potassium in some cases, which causes an imbalance. And of course there's no zinc also, and lots of problems mineral-wise.
That they're getting all the restaurant chains to decrease their salt. But no, that's in fact empowering consumers to determine the levels of salt that they want to do. They can always add more. They can't take out less.
Yeah.
Alright, as usual, he has no proof for anything he's saying. He likes to talk about studies, but to this day, there hasn't been one study out there that has in any way at all proven that a vegan diet is healthy in any way at all. There's no scientific proof whatsoever when it comes to veganism. There are quite a few studies out there that vegans are deficient in nutrients, which I will link in the description. A lot of you have probably seen it already. Plants don't have over 50 nutrients. This is why it's malnutrition. Clearly he's not doing very well himself. Nobody has to point that out. He's living in denial. Thanks for watching.